1.
Ready? Hello, everyone. I am Supervisor George Turnboo, and I'm hosting the El Dorado County Virtual Town Hall on Emergency Preparedness and Wildfire Resources. With me today, I have Mr. Dave Souza, and then I have Sergeant Slag, but also I want to introduce our Insurance Commissioner, Ricardo Lara. Thank you for joining us today. If anybody has any questions that needs to be answered, please text them to us, and then that way we can answer your questions.
So we are beginning our El Dorado County Virtual Town Hall on Emergency Preparedness and Wildfire Resources, hosted by El Dorado County Supervisor George Turnboo and California Insurance Commissioner Ricardo Lara. Welcome to the just want to go over the housekeeping before we start our event. Audio, video, and chat will be monitored and recorded. Please submit your question via Zoom chat option. This event is being streamed live on Facebook at www.facebook.com/insuranceca.gov. A recording of this town hall will be available on your website at the link below, www.insurance.ca.gov. We will, by default, all the participants will be muted and video is disabled. Video will be on for speakers only, but do please submit your question through the Zoom chat. Our agenda, we will go we will have Supervisor John Turnboo opening and welcome remarks and introducing all 3 speakers. We will be joining after that by Insurance Commissioner Ricardo Lara, who is already online, and he will share his opening remarks, followed by retired firefighter and law enforcement officer, Mr. Dave Souza, who will share his opening remarks regarding fire hardening. We will have after that Sergeant Leslie Schillag do his opening remarks regarding emergency preparedness. And then after that, we will be led by Supervisor George Turnboo in answering, leading the question answer session. After that, in the closing remarks, we will have all the speaker do 2 minutes of closing remark. Just also want to share that because we are taking live questions, so we will also be having our subject matter expert from the Department of Insurance, Tony Signorelli, to answer your questions as well. Now I give it to our supervisor for District 2, Supervisor George Turnboo, to introduce people.
Welcome, everyone. I'm glad you're here to join us. This is an El Dorado County Virtual Town Hall on Emergency Preparedness and Wildfire Resources. Speakers today will be Ricardo Lara, which is the Insurance Commissioner, Dave Souza to my right, and also Sergeant Leslie Slag. Thank you for joining us. And we will take questions at pretty much the end of it, but I will start off with the Insurance Commissioner, and he can give us a brief update what's going on.
Thank you, Supervisor Turnboo. It's great to see you. Thank you for inviting me today. I hear it's also a scorcher over there, so hope everybody's staying safe. I wanted to, again, thank you for your partnership to help solve really the challenges that not only El Dorado is facing, but our entire state. These problems that we've been seeing over the last decade and increasing number of fires are only getting worse, unfortunately, as demonstrated by last year's unprecedented fires. I was there in El Dorado County back in October of 2019, which seems like worlds away, given that so much has happened in between October 2019 to now, with Assemblymember Kiley for an insurance forum to discuss basically the same issues. And I'm pleased to be back and give you an update on the work we're doing on your behalf. You know, depending on where you live, insurance is getting harder to find and more expensive to keep. El Dorado is one of those counties where we have the highest percentage of homes at high risk of wildfires. And insurance company data shows this is affecting you more than any other county or Californian throughout the state. Rising rates and non-renewals hurt those who can least afford it. You know, our working families, our retirees on fixed incomes, the same people that, by the way, already have been hurt disproportionately by the pandemic. I think, you know, there's got to be a better approach. Insurance companies should be working with you to bring down the risk of your home and, of course, your community. And insurance companies should be giving homeowners incentives to reduce the risk on their properties. I want to see insurance companies being really part of the solution instead of abandoning our homeowners and raising their rates if they had wildfire risk, as companies have been doing for years, by the way. Even before I took office, we've seen companies do this. So this year I took 2 important actions because insurance companies need to give you a better information about the risk on your property. I'm proposing new regulations that would make wildfire risk scores accessible to consumers and our businesses. And you know, more insurance are using these scores to determine what properties they're going to write. And a lot of people don't even know that their home has a risk score or what goes into that score. So if you take actions to harden your home, these scores need to recognize your hard work. Second, I created a partnership with Governor Newsom's administration for the first time ever, really bringing the state's emergency leaders together to create a list of home and community hardening actions that can apply to insurance, so that we're not all working in silos, and really coming up with, you know, standardized mitigation efforts that also the insurance industry is partaking in, so that we're all on the same page in terms of what do we have to do to bring down the overall risk for the community and keep the insurance companies writing in your community. So we were working this year on that, and we'll continue to look for more insurance incentives for you. We have 8 insurance companies currently offering premium discounts for hardened homes, but we have a long way to go. I'm going to continue pushing for these incentives, and I want to see more insurance companies agreeing to cover homes in our foothills. Just this week, Farmers Insurance announced they're going to write at least 30,000 more homes statewide with higher risk for wildfire. I'm glad to see that they're doing that, and if more companies took that step, we would be able to solve our insurance industry availability problems. I want to invite you to all check out our wildfire resources page and sign up to receive the updates from the department so that you can join our future events and engage with us as we engage in dialogue throughout the state. I want to make sure my staff puts that information on the chat box so that you can easily cut and paste that for your information. And, you know, before I was elected insurance commissioner in 2018, I supported legislation to expand the rights of wildfire survivors as a member of the California Senate. And I was proud to author that bill that would provide a moratorium for 1 year to allow people who were in the perimeter of a fire to be able to at least have that year to organize and plan and see what the options were for rebuilding. And last year we put that new law into effect for a second time. And it includes a mandatory, like I said, a 1 year moratorium for insurance companies in reviewing or canceling residential property insurance policies, bringing the total to nearly, I believe it was around 2.5 million policyholders that are now being covered under the statewide moratorium. This is just a result of the 2020 fires. This law is currently protecting more than 77,000 policyholders in El Dorado County alone from being non-renewed due to wildfires. You heard it right, over 77,000 policyholders in El Dorado County. If we have another state declared disaster this year and beyond, the new law will protect those from non-renewals again for another year. I've also called on insurance companies to extend the time limits for paying insurance benefits beyond what the law requires, as you know, many still have not rebuilt from the fires due to delays that are really beyond your control, whether it's an environmental hazard or lack of labor, lack of materials. you name it. There's so many other uncertainties that can go into play that are out of your control that insurance companies should take that into consideration before they cut off any resources to you. And again, the focus of today's discussion is about wildfire concerns and sharing the resources. But before I wrap up, I also would be remiss if I didn't mention a few of the actions we've taken at the department to help some of our financial relief, give some financial relief, I should say, for our consumers who have been impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. Since the start of the pandemic, my goals were to get back money to consumers and businesses, help our small businesses file insurance claims and combat fraud, again, protect the healthcare of all Californians, and continue to be responding not only to the wildfires, but to help people prepare, which is even more difficult in a pandemic. I'm proud to say that I went far beyond any other insurance commissioner in the country by ordering premium refunds for California motorists due to lower risks on the road, which have resulted in $1.75 billion back to California consumers. And it's the largest refund in the country. And I also extended this refund to our business owners that were still struggling to open their doors. So I expect the savings to continue as long as people are driving less through the pandemic. If you have not received, if you're a motorist in California, have insurance, have not received a premium refund or some sort of credit, please call our department. I'll make sure we have that number in the chat box as well. Again, if you have any questions regarding your home, auto, business, or any other insurance, please contact the department. We have experts who can help you Monday through Friday. It's not a recording. You're gonna meet with an insurance live expert, or you can also use our new live chat feature in our website that should be on the chat as well. So again, Supervisor, I wanna thank you again for inviting me to participate in this afternoon discussion and share information and resources regarding one of the biggest issues facing Californians, especially in your fire risk area. It's important that we all come together and work to find solutions to reduce these wildfire risk and help our fire survivors to recover. So again, just want to remind you, our department, our sole purpose is to represent you and fight for the consumer. So do not hesitate to call us. This is what we do. You can call, email, or chat online with our team, and they'll be more than happy to navigate you through what we know is already a difficult process, which is your insurance contract, and we can help you facilitate that again. So look forward to answering your questions, and thank you again, Supervisor. It's great to see you.
Thank you. Okay, Dave.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dave Souza. I've been part of El Dorado County for over 50 years. I know the area. I was a firefighter in El Dorado County for 7. And then I went with Intel Corporation down in Folsom as a security and logistics officer. And then I had a great career for 24 years with the Sheriff's Office in Placer County. So I have a nice background of incidents and emergencies that happen in El Dorado County. I was also part of the King Fire incident. As a lot of you well know, it was over 97,000 acres. We didn't lose any structures, but we lost acres of timber. And also I was part of the picking up any livestock that was in the King Fire. I was also in the Paradise Fire. I spent 4 days up there doing logistics. That fire was devastating. The things that our firefighters and law enforcement seen was absolutely unbelievable, including what I've seen. I think Paradise needs a lot of help from the insurance companies up there. In that case, I still talk to people that live in Paradise, and they still don't have a home. They're still living in trailers, in mobile home parks. It's a terrible thing, and I think the insurance companies should help out at a greater stance than what they're doing right now. I was also involved with the Oroville Dam incident. We didn't lose any homes on that one, but that was also very it could have been very, very devastating for the homeowners of Orderville. Doria, did you want me to get into the questions that you want me to take? Is that how they wanted to do it?
I think they want.
And Leslie.
Yeah. I think Supervisor Turnboo will ask the questions later on after the interview.
Okay, that was my opening statements. Thank you.
Okay, Sergeant Swag, you want to give us a little update on what you're about and tell us what you can do to help us?
Yes, sir. So my name is Leslie Schlag. I'm a sergeant with Dorado County Sheriff's Office. I'm currently assigned to the Office of Emergency Services. Just so you have an idea of what Office of Emergency Services, or is commonly referred to as OES, is about, is we're overall in charge of keeping up with the preparedness for the county, knowing what emergencies we face and preparing for them, preparing the hazard mitigation plan to make sure that not only are we preparing for these emergencies, but we're trying to curtail them before we get to that point. And then, of course, once the emergency does happen, one of our things is response. One of the big misunderstandings of the OES is that, we actually run the fires. We do not. During a fire situation, the fire department is in charge of the fire. We assist them with evacuations and overall that 30,000 foot look of what's going on in the county, making sure that folks have a place to go when they're evacuated from their homes, making sure that we have enough resources to, protect their property when they're not, allowed to be in their homes. That's pretty much what we do. And then the biggest aspect is the recovery effort. Once all that is said and done, we help to make sure that if the state, is offering money to help rebuild and repair, that we get that paperwork through, and working with the Sheriff's Office Finance Department, we get that done. Currently, right now, my office consists of my lieutenant, 3 deputies, and that's pretty much what's covering the county for Office of Emergency Services. I'm here to answer any questions today regarding any type of emergency notifications, like through our Code Red system, or if anybody has any type of evacuation questions, hopefully we can get those answered today. So thank you.
A little bit about me, I'm District 2 Supervisor of El Dorado County, and I'm working on some things right now to help our county right now. We're talking about bringing a cogeneration plant to El Dorado County to produce electricity, but also to remove a lot of the dead slag and debris that's in our forests, and also along our easements in our county. Working with the DOT, especially right now that they've got some grant money and stuff like that to be able to clear these easements, because 90% of the fires started in our easements. And then they end up in horrific fires. So what we're doing also is trying to bring logging back into our county too, and working with Tom McClintock on that. We've got some meetings coming up here. It'll be a great thing, because in Siskiyou County, they're doing good forest management up there in the Trinity Forest. And I want to bring that same type of thing here to El Dorado County, because it'd be a great thing for all of us and stuff, especially to cut down these horrific fires. Because I think human life is very, very important, especially in El Dorado County, and we're basically like a cinder box right now. We could just be the next paradise. So I'm working on that now, right now, so we can help that and solve that problem, so we don't have any of these horrific fires anymore. Now, I know one of the questions was asked about the cogeneration plant. How much it's going to cost? Well, we might be in a little bit of deficit per year. Maybe $1 million and stuff. I didn't know Tom McClintock asked me that question. I said, Tom, look at it this way. Wouldn't you rather be it that way than spend $580 million of taxpayers' money in one fire? The King Fire, that's how much it cost us. So you can imagine how much all the other fires cost through the state of California. We got to do something to help a lot of these residents. And I got to reach out to these fire safe councils. They're doing a great job for our county. And I commend you for all the hard work that you've done for us, and to help the residents here to clear their property, and working with them to make sure they have the right amount of clearance and stuff. So thank you very much for all the hard work you're doing too. Anybody, we have some questions to ask. And one of the questions that I want to, there's a few of them here, and I got to ask, there was one Assembly Bill 2167 that was killed. And the reason, I don't know why it was killed, but I'm going to ask Ricardo Laurel about that, because I thought that bill would have been basically an even playing field, especially with, the city versus the people that live in the rural area. It could have been, I think it would have been a great thing, because then that way it would have lowered the insurance rates out of the people live in the rural area. You got to understand that there's people that are, I lost my my insurance 5 times. And right now I have an insurance company that's insuring me. But I mean, they could pull out any day. And we talk about these people are suffering, and you talk about the fair plan. I don't think it's very fair, especially when some of these people are paying anywhere from $6,000 to $8,000 a year just for insurance, fire insurance, especially with people that live out in my area. So what can we do to be able to help them and maybe get them on the right track? Can we do anything with this particular bill and bring it back? Is it possible? So that way that these people can not have to suffer, because people are moved out of the area because they can't even afford their fire insurance anymore. So they have to move to a different state, and they have to sell their homes. I mean, especially when their fire insurance is more than their house payment or their mortgage payment. To me, that's just not right. And I want to know, I want to see from you what you can do to help these residents, especially in El Dorado County.
Well, Supervisor, thank you for that question. As you know, I'm not in the legislature, but I can have Tony Signorelli answer that question for you, who's our Consumer Affairs Deputy Commissioner. Tony, are you on?
Yes, Commissioner. We'd be happy to talk to you in more detail offline where we have more time to discuss it. But in general, that bill would have given insurance companies carte blanche to charge whatever they wanted without getting any protections in place that were voted on by the public in Proposition 103. It would have avoided the commissioner's ability to make sure the rates are reasonable. They're already unaffordable for many people throughout the state and within El Dorado County. And it would have given insurance companies basically carte blanche to charge whatever they wanted with very little oversight by the insurance commissioner. And it had no guarantees that the insurance companies would even write more business. There was no mandate in that bill that would have required insurance companies to write more business. There's a lot more nuance and detail to the bill and the reasons why we weren't in favor of it, but that's kind of the short answer to that question.
So, Supervisor, what we've been trying to figure out, what we're trying to do is, what does the consumer get? If we're going to allow insurance companies to raise rates without any regulatory, parameters, then what does the consumer get for that? And now remember, the bill never addressed that. So what we're working on is a couple things. We're using my regulatory authority to make sure that companies they give consumers a discount when they're mitigating their property. Like I said, currently that doesn't happen. There's only roughly 8 insurance companies that do that. And as you're paying for the additional risk for living in these communities, it really doesn't represent the risk, because in my opinion, the mitigation that so many of your residents have spent thousands of dollars doing are not taken into account when it comes to their premiums. So what we want to make sure is, if companies want to raise a rate, what do we get? What does a consumer get for that? And what we want is mitigation discounts. We want to make sure that if homes and communities do follow the mitigation standards, that then they have to write a policy in these communities. So these are the things that we're working on through regulation. I understand, as you know, the regulatory process takes a while, but those are the things that we're looking at in terms of trying to give people an additional break or discount on their insurance, especially for those that have already spent the thousands of dollars to mitigate their properties.
Well, one of the things that I want to ask, because there's been a lot of people's places, they've done a lot of clearing around their homes. And they haven't received any discount. In fact, they have been canceled. Even when they're doing all the work that they have around their property. And to me, it's just not right. And especially when they have to go onto this FAIR plan to be able to get any kind of insurance. And it seems like the FAIR plan is not very fair, especially to the residents that live in around this area. So I would like to see you step up a little bit more and do whatever you can to be able to bring these rates down, because it's ridiculous, especially when the FAIR plan is 3 or 4 times more than their insurance was before. So
Well, let me tell you what we've been doing around this issue. So we know the FAIR, like you said it perfectly, the FAIR plan is nothing but fair. It is not fair. It is the unfair plan. And not only when you get sent there, you have to buy wraparound insurance that only increases the cost of covering your home, because you're paying for all this additional administrative fee. So what we want is the FAIR plan to have an option for folks that if you're going to be sent to the FAIR plan, that you have access to comprehensive coverage. And so we mandated the FAIR plan to do that. They're fighting us in court right now. So we are in the middle of litigation trying to mandate that the FAIR plan actually provide comprehensive coverage for folks. Because if that's going to be the only option for folks, they should not have to pay for additional wraparound insurance that only increases the cost of the coverage. So we are with you 100%. Hopefully, we're able to resolve this in the court as quickly as possible, so that we can get the FAIR plan to provide a comprehensive coverage. And you're absolutely right. This is why we're forcing through regulation insurance companies to make sure that if you paid the money and you've hardened your home, that actually means something. That means that you get a discount on your insurance. That, because right now what you're experiencing in El Dorado is happening throughout the entire state. People are investing thousands of dollars, and even sometimes the agent will come to your home, if you're even lucky enough for that to happen, and tells you what you need to do. You do it, and you still get dropped. So again, as insurance commissioner, I don't have the authority to mandate where insurance companies have to write, but this is why we're taking the regulatory route to say that if you have done the mitigation, you have to give these discounts. And we're looking at these standardized mitigation standards that once those are met, that we mandate that you write in these communities. So the frustration that you're feeling is the exact same one that I've been dealing with for the past year and a half with the insurance companies, hence why we're moving towards these, one, we're fighting in court, and two, we're moving on these regulatory schemes.
Yeah. Well, anyway, thank you for that answer and stuff, because that's a big question here, especially in El Dorado County, because people are they're reaching out to me every day. And I hear a lot of the stories and stuff, and people that don't even have fire insurance now because they can't even afford even the FAIR plan.
Right. Some of them are like self-insured.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Right. And it's really sad to me. And it seems like all these insurance companies have either left the state or raised their rates after the Paradise Fire, because we never had that problem until then.
Right.
And I understand that, especially with the deaths that occurred and stuff, especially that fire was horrific. But the biggest problem that we have in our state, in our county, is not good forest management. And it hasn't happened for a long, long time. I mean, look at back then when the logging and stuff that was going on in 94, when they stopped it because of environmental issues and stuff that people have brought to it, like the spotted owl and other things that have happened. It killed logging is what it is. And that's why I'm working on to be able to bring logging back, to be able to help that, so we can actually clean our forest, do the right thing, and maybe drive these insurance costs down. We have to do something for these people. It's not fair to them.
Absolutely.
To pay these high rates. And especially working on our easements, like I talked about, all the 90% of the fires start in our easements. People, you know, causing sparks, people pulling off the roads and stuff, and dry grass and stuff with the catalytic converters, which causes fires. That's what we got to do to be able to maintain our easements, and especially working with DOT, which I am. I'm pushing that, and we got just recently got a grant and stuff to do some brush clearing and stuff in our easements and stuff. So we're working toward that goal. But when we're working toward that goal, and we do the right thing, when we get this done, these insurance rates should be coming down, I hope.
Absolutely.
And I think that's up to you to put the pressure on these insurance companies to make that happen.
Right. So Supervisor, a couple of things, you know, we definitely need more forest management. The majority, as you know, of the forests in California are federally owned. So it's always been trying to get the feds to move as quickly as possible. I'm glad that the state and the governor are putting record amount of money in terms of forest management. We need to start doing the prescribed burns. We need to be much smarter on how we tend to our forests. So I'm glad that the legislature is now moving in that direction. The other thing I want to talk to you is, you know, California is the largest insurance market in the country, fourth in the world. There has been no insurance company that has left California. But we do realize that this issue is happening around 10% of the state. And where this is happening, like in El Dorado, it's happening very acutely. And so, as you said, because this is happening, people cannot afford their insurance. The debt ratio flips and people are paying more for insurance than for their mortgage. And what happens, you as a local leader know this, if you can't find insurance for your home, you can't sell your home, which means less resources for your community to actually pay for the resources that you need to fight these fires. And so hence why we're moving through this regulatory process to force insurance companies to provide these discounts to your consumers.
Right. I got one for Sergeant Leslie. So I got a question for you. Do we have any evacuation routes in El Dorado County, especially if we have one of these horrific fires?
So for evacuation routes, sir, no, what we ask the community and what we try to get out there to them is to plan for themselves to know their community. So Dave asked a similar question. In the event of a fire, you know, how do we know which way to go? Well, we're hoping that you know your local surroundings. It's very important that you find at least 2 different ways out of your community. The evacuation routes are not an easy thing to plan for fires. It's not similar to tsunamis near the coastal ways where you know that the water is going to come in from a certain direction and getting to higher ground is safe. Fires can come from any direction. Their behaviors change between the difference between day and night. So to have an evacuation route and to tell somebody this is the way you go in the event of a fire is just not a good idea, because if the evacuation route's on fire and our county residents have planned for only that, that's going to be an emergency in itself. So we ask that the county residents plan for themselves. This is one of those things where, you know, government is not going to be able to help you to get out of your community in the event of a large scale fire if you have not pre-planned yourself. So really, I can't stress enough pre-planning. Get signed up for Code Red, and we will give you the information over the Code Red announcement when it comes through. It will come through in not only a telephone call, text message, or however you choose to sign up. We will get that message to you and a safe area to get to. And there are some situational where we have communities that are locked in by one way in, one way out. I can assure you that our local fire and CAL FIRE know of these communities, and they have plans in place that if there is a fire, a large scale fire in those areas, that they will aggressively attack that fire in that area to keep that community safe.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that answer, because I think a lot of people didn't know, and they need to understand that it's you like you were talking about. If you put a regular route in, you know, evacuation route and stuff like that, because people live so many different areas in our county, and they need to plan for themselves. But I think a lot of people need to sign up for that, you know, that basically that webpage and stuff that you have, and especially in my Office of Emergency Services, so they understand and all the different things that you guys do to help them, especially when it comes to be able to evacuate from these horrific fires.
Yes, sir. And I just linked the ready.edso.org in the chat. So anybody that's listening in on the chat, go to that link. If you're not signed up on Code Red, please do so. If you have difficulties with it, our phone number for my office is linked in there, and we can walk you through the process or even get you signed up if you have the inability to do so.
Okay. Thank you very much for that answer. I appreciate it. That will help a lot of people that just really don't understand. So thank you. Another question is with Kim Pruitt asked us, it's not a funding issue at the federal level. It's regulatory. Can you give me a little answer on that? You know anything on that?
In terms of the forest, for the federal forest management?
Yeah, forest, yeah.
Yeah, no, well, you know, we need the funds and we need the feds to actually do the maintenance of the forest within their jurisdiction. And I know that the governor's office has been going back and forth with this new administration, and I think they already sent $1 billion, I think it was $1 billion in terms of forest management. So the question is that we have the money, let's get this forest, let's get to managing this forest as quickly as possible, so we don't have time to waste. I do, you know, definitely agree with that. So back with in other administrations, it was just more difficult to get the money to actually get it done. But you know, we have money now. Let's get to start managing that forest. So 100% agree.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that's a big issue and stuff like that. But what we do is, like I say, when we get this stuff going and cleaning our easements and having these fire safety councils helping these residents and stuff, when this has been done and completed, what are you going to do to help these residents lower their insurance costs? Because it seems like you were just talking about, like these people, they do all the stuff that the insurance companies want them to do around their homes, and then they're dropped anyway.
Right.
So I would like to see you put a little more pressure, especially on these insurance companies, especially when we're doing, you know, the right thing in El Dorado County by bringing our fire danger down.
You're right. That's the absolute issue that we're seeing, right? So again, like I said earlier, this is why we're through our regulatory process. And trust me, I know some of the comments are like, that's at snail's pace. We're moving as quickly as possible because, as you know, Supervisor, there's, in terms of new regulations, there's different, you know, processes that you need to adhere to by law. But at the end of hopefully this year, I want to make sure that there's regulations in place that rewards our fire-wise communities. Because you're right, they're doing I mean, some of our neighbors are already experts, and they're helping other neighbors not only become part of the fire-wise community, but helping them do that mitigation. So that needs to count for something. And so this is why we're saying we agree, and this is why we're putting pressure, not only regulatory pressure, because I want to get this done, but if you talk to any insurance company, trust me, they're not my friend. They're out there bad-mouthing me, but I don't care. At the end of the day, I have to make sure that your residents, my consumers, are getting credit for the mitigation and for the work that the fire-wise communities are doing. Tony, I don't know if you want to just add on to that.
Yeah, Commissioner, just so that everyone's kind of clear on what your authority is and what it isn't. The insurance commissioner, Commissioner Lara, has greater authority in the area of rates. So as risk goes down due to mitigation efforts by the homeowner or the community, and therefore incidents of insured losses go down because there are less fires, less damage that's insured, less payments by insurance companies, then rates would go down. But in the area of whether an insurance company is willing to write you or not, that's a little bit different. So you can do all the mitigation community-wise and individual home-wise, but currently the laws don't allow the insurance commissioner to force the insurance company to write you, even if you've done all of that. whereas the commissioner's authority rests is dealing with the rate. So if the risk goes down, the rates should go down over time. But in terms of being able to write you, that's another issue that the commissioner is working on, but that might take legislation.
I understand, but it seems like government, it kind of moves very slow. Seems like it takes forever. And when you're talking about people losing their fire insurance and they can't get any other fire insurance, and especially if they do the right thing, it's not fair to them.
Absolutely. We're trying to move as quickly as possible. It's my second year on this job, and I'm trying to make this happen within this year, because you're right. People are losing their homes. People are rightfully angry, and this is why we're having these town halls, so that we can try to help them. We can have these conversations, because I agree 100%. When this needs to get done as quickly as possible.
Yeah, especially when you're talking about people that have loans on their home and stuff, and they're making their payment and they can't afford their fire insurance. And then if they can't afford it, it's required by them to have fire insurance. So basically they end up losing their homes,
Right.
Especially people that are on fixed incomes. So it's really, really unfair to them what's going on right now. So I need you to step up a little bit more and put more pressure on these insurance companies to get these rates lowered. I'd appreciate that very much to help our county.
Supervisor, would love to have your support on some of the things that we're doing, because we also need that support from the communities that are affected. So let's work together and make it happen. I'm more than happy to put some more pressure on. We got to get this done.
Yes, we do. Definitely. Any other questions?
Yeah, Todd Crawford said something about ready.edso.org. I don't know if Leslie wants to talk about the comment, Todd.
Okay, well, go ahead and read it. Go ahead and read the comment.
Leslie, I know that Todd Crawford just put in something into the chat about ready.edso.org. Do you want to expand on that?
Yes, Deputy Todd Crawford. He's one of my deputies in the office. So what he's basically explaining is when you sign up for Code Red, ready.edso.org, you're going to want to sign up. If you try to sign up with the managed account, that way, as your times change, cell phones are added because of new family members. Our family members move away. That'll give you the ability to go into your managed account and update it to change that information as needed, or if you move or just anything along those lines. One of the things he's specifically saying in there is when you sign up, it will give you an opportunity to look at a map. And what that is it's a chance to fine tune the program to make sure that that map is specifically, the pin drop that you will see on the map is specifically over your address. Sometimes, because if you look at Google Maps, you'll look at it and you'll look up your address and you'll be like, that is not where I live. That's exactly what the reason this program gives you that opportunity to make sure that the address is correct, and that pin drop is going to be the final determination of where that phone call goes out to. So again, that's one of those things. If you have any confusion with it whatsoever, just reach out to us. I put our phone number in the chat, the 621-5896. Give us a call. We'll help you out with it. It's not a problem. It's pretty easy to do, and we have no issues at all helping people out.
This is a question by Ruth Carter. What help is there being given to people in a total loss on the FAIR plan? So what help are you giving them, especially when they lose everything? Is it, because it seems like I've heard from people, seems like they're on the FAIR plan, and especially when they have a fire and their house burns down, and it seems like it takes forever to get reimbursed. So what are you doing to help them, especially when, to make sure that they can rebuild and they don't, like David was talking about up there in Paradise, where a lot of people are still living in trailers?
Commissioner, I can go with that. A couple of points there. With regard to the FAIR plan coverage amounts, whether you have enough to rebuild, with the FAIR plan, the policyholder and the broker choose what their limits are. And therefore, because they choose their limits, that's the most they could get for those claims. To the degree anyone feels that they didn't have enough coverage, or they have enough coverage, but FAIR plan or any company is not paying them their full policy limits on a total loss, and they believe it is going to cost that much or more, they certainly should contact us. We're happy to open up that case, look at their complete claim file, get with the insurance company, if it's FAIR plan or another company, and make sure that the insurance company followed their policy, followed the law. And there are a number of laws in existence, but some of them very recent, that provide additional protections for those that have a total loss to their home, to make sure that they're getting the full benefit of their insurance policy. So that would be my advice, is have them contact us so that we can look at that in more detail and make sure that the FAIR plan is stepping up and paying the claim, especially if there's a delay by them. If they're delaying payment of the claim, certainly we could step in and make sure that they're not delaying any further once we get involved.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the answer. I appreciate that. And I hope that satisfies your answer, Ruth. If you have another question, and you can text us and stuff, and if you want to add to it, I appreciate it. Is there any other questions?
Supervisor, can I just address, I know Laurel, Brent had a question in terms of what we were talking about in October, and meaning about exactly what we were trying to get done, what I'm talking about today. So in trying to not have to go through the regulatory process so that it takes longer, we did legislation in this space carried by Assemblywoman Lorena Gonzalez from San Diego. And unfortunately, both the Democrats and the Republicans in the Assembly Insurance Committee defeated my bill. So hence why we're no longer going to go through the legislature. We're going to do this through regulation and through my authority. So why it's taking us a little longer. I would have loved to have this bill that guaranteed insurance companies covered communities that have mitigated, gave them mitigation discounts, and that gave more transparency. But unfortunately, the Assembly Insurance Committee killed that bill. So why I came back this year using my authority, we're still trying to get this stuff done. But of course, as you know, if we would have done this in the legislature already, this would have been law. So again, we're still trying to get back at it and get this done through another kind of venue. So I hope that answers Laurel's question. Thanks.
Here's another question. If a homeowner has limited funds, but is motivated to harden their home in case of a wildfire, what are some of the effective yet inexpensive things that you would advise they do?
Tony, do you want to take that since you have the list of things?
Well, yeah, we have a number of tips on our website that do provide information with regarding defensible space and certain hardening tips, and also links to CAL FIRE's defensible space and home hardening tips that they have, which is a very good website and resource to look at. So if you want to go to our website, we have some tips there, but also I would direct you to the CAL FIRE website to provide some really good tips and really detailed information that you can do today. Some of it for little money, some of it for moderate money, some stuff costs more, but it'll give you kind of more detail on that.
Is there anything, any kind of relief that the state can give a lot of these homeowners, especially if they're on fixed incomes and they don't have the money to be able to, to go out and have their property cleared or to bring, so they have an adequate space? Is there anything that you offer to help these homeowners?
Well, yeah, I don't know, Commissioner, if you have more information than me, but I mean, currently the department doesn't have funds that it disperses. That is an issue that Commissioner Lara, I know, has been pushing to get the funds that came from the governor's administration to be used for that purpose of either community mitigation or individual mitigation efforts to bring that risk down.
This budget, the state budget has several programs that we can, it's on one of the slides for staff, if they can put that slide in the chat. So there's different programs. What I want to make sure happens is that it's a diversified requirement, right? So Supervisor, as you know, we're not talking about, just ski chalets in Tahoe. We're talking about people who are on fixed incomes, retirees, veterans, many of our disabled seniors that may not be able to even do the retrofit. So I want to make sure that their grants, loan forgiveness programs, some people might just need a tax break, and some people are going to need subsidies to do this. And so that's what I've been talking to the governor's office, that one, we need the money as soon as possible. I'll make sure CDI staff give you the list of what the buckets are of the different money, but that is also have to be diversified in what types of grants, because some people are still not even going to be able to afford if they have to, if it's just a tax break, or if it's a loan program or a loan forgiveness program. Some people are going to need subsidies, and so that's exactly what we're talking about.
That's awesome. Yeah, they need all the help they can get. They really do. Any other questions?
Ladies want to go to closing remarks?
Well, I guess we can go. No other questions. Do you have any other questions, Ricardo, or that you might, or some things you can tell our residents of El Dorado County, what you can do to help them?
Thank you. Thank you again, Supervisor. It's great to speak with you and your constituents. We got to do this again as we continue to advocate for these things. If you're, of course, we know El Dorado's being hit disproportionately. So I want to just remind you that the department is here to help. If you lose your insurance, if you're about to lose it, let us look at your contract and your policy, so that we could skim through it and see if there's any other things we could do to be able to keep you insured. So keep that number handy. Look, I know these insurance things are complicated, and so many people are just in dire straits right now. So give us a call, 1-800-927-4357. This is what we're here to do. And again, a lot of the Cal OES grants are, we need our local governments to apply. So Supervisor, I'm going to send you that information so that we can get, El Dorado should be getting a bulk of this money, given just how greatly needed it is. So I'll make sure staff follows up with you so that if you haven't already applied for this Cal OES grants, but there's other stuff that we can do together. So I look forward to partnering with you and hopefully, getting some much needed relief for our consumers and your constituents. Thank you.
Thank you very much for reaching out to me and stuff, and especially I think it went very well, and I hope that my constituents and the people of El Dorado County got a lot out of this today. I really appreciate all your help. So thank you very, very much, and thank you for the questions that you asked. Now I appreciate everybody that was in this town hall meeting today. Dave Souza and Leslie Slag. Thank you very much for attending.
Have a good day.
You too.